Hi, I'm Jamie Lenman here for Crowded Music. Make sure you subscribe and get all the best music bits, including me.
Hi guys, welcome back to Crowded Music. We are here at Handmade Festival here in Leicester.
Hi there, hi Jazz.
So, have you managed to catch anyone so far at the festival?
I got hit just after Can't Swim plays.
Really?
I was a bit cross about it again. Because everyone was talking about them, saying you got to go and check them out.
They were good.
I'd been over at Track 7 doing an acoustic session for them. So it clashed, and that's a big bummer. And I'm looking forward to Dream State in a minute as well.
It's going to be good. First thing, I wanted to jump busy year for you in general.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've got the album coming out and everything. We're going to talk about a little bit about that later. One big thing I wanted to get your thoughts on in general. That Glastonbury announcement though. Fucking mad.
It was a big deal, wasn't it?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Well, I don't know how. I think probably a long time ago I would have been blown away by it if it just come out of the blue, but we've been talking to them for a while and it's been on the cards for a bit, and so I've sort of known it was coming for a while and got my head around it.
But I guess it's one of them things, because it's they've only I think it's the past 2 years they've done the heavy stage there with earache and that. So for someone in your sort of genre, or just heavy rock music in general, kind of, that's sort of a bucket list item which almost can't happen, because obviously Glastonbury didn't have
it's not really a space for heavy music.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I'm very grateful for that, and Earache are doing a fantastic job. We did their stage at Boomtown last year, which again was a great place for heavy music. So
that was one of the first couple.
I think so. I think they've been doing it a couple of years now, and so we got on really well, and we knew they had a stage at Glasgow. And obviously, crossed our fingers we get a chance to play it, and now we have with tons of other amazing bands. Black Futures, Haggard Cat,
Gajira, one as well.
Gajira,
when I saw their name on there, I was like,
yeah. What? So it's going to be a rocking stage. I think that's all in Shangri-La, different stages in Shangri-La. But yeah, it's great. It's a big one, isn't it, Glastonbury? I'm chuffed.
No, just festival season in general as well, because I think this whole weekend you've done nothing but you've headlined a stage.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, three nights in a row.
So it's was it Leeds yesterday or the day before?
Leeds yesterday and Liverpool on Friday night.
Yeah, so
they were very different from each other, and this is going to be something different still. Yeah. So it's real nice variety.
So obviously you've been making music for a while and that. Obviously a little bit. So how did now that you had that headline experience, let's say, do you sort of prefer headlining the festivals to the solo gigs? What's
the difference is that if you headline, they usually give you your own room.
Yeah.
Which, I'm not gonna lie, is a big advantage. That I just want somewhere to
relax,
sit down and warm up as well. It's so important. Back in the day, when we played a festival or whatever in the band, we would just turn up and we just bonk all our equipment in the corridor with 10 other bands, and I didn't even need a warm-up, and that was fine, and I could do that then. And I walked past all the bands yesterday, getting their shit together in the corridor, and I thought, you poor sods. And I felt a little bit guilty when I went to my private room, but then I also thought, I've done my time, I put the work in.
Yeah,
now I'm old, I need comfy chairs, and I need a place to get my shit together. So that is an advantage, but I've been on plenty of festivals where I'm not the headliner and I am still in the corridor, and that's fine with me. And in fact, in Liverpool, we got changed in a kitchen, and that was fine with me as well. And I quite like that, even though I was headlining, everyone mucked in, and that was nice, man. I couldn't really complain.
I guess one of the things, it's even though you're a bit of a big shot now, you gotta stay humble, you can't.
That's the thing, isn't it? You're never a big shot to everyone. You might be a big shot to someone, but you're a who's you to someone else. So
there's always someone ahead,
Well, that's true as well. I mean, I like to think, as much as I appreciate the advantages of being a slightly further on in my career brings, every now and then you get your own room, or you might get a bit of dinner. I also like to think that I haven't lost touch with what it was like to be a hard touring young band sleeping on floors. I remember what that's like, and I'm ready for it if it happens again. And still, in some places, if we tour Europe, I haven't got a particularly big standing in Europe, so it's still a little bit like that in Europe, even though the people are very nice and generous. So it can still feel like being a new act. I have a sort of range of it. Sometimes I'm the big cheese, sometimes I'm the small carrot.
Either way, you go out there, you play, people like it.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I always give the same amount, so it doesn't make a difference to the show. I always give it everything I've got, depending on what I've had to eat beforehand.
And the album, obviously, we've got to talk about. Big deal. That's one of the main reasons you're going all over the place anyway.
It is, yeah.
So compared to like the last record, did you sort of take songwriting sort of approach any differently? Because obviously you've got this like new concept and stuff with the artwork, with all the logos and everything, and that's completely new to like previous records and everything you've done. So how much in general of the creative process was like different?
Well, it was different in that I didn't write any of the songs because they're all covers. Yeah. But having said that, I did arrange all the music. So there was still a lot of the work, when I write my own records, I come up with the melody and the riffs and everything, and then I think about how to arrange it and put all the music together. And this time, obviously, all of that was already there for me in some of them. So embarrassing, sorry. And so I already had the melody, and I already had the structure. But having said that, I even sort of, with a lot of them, I pulled about the structure a bit. So it was different in that it was almost like being in a band with someone. I sort of imagined what if I was in a band with, let's say, John Lennon, and he'd come in with the melody for Tomorrow Never Knows, and then I wrote a very different song around it, but it's still Lennon's song, obviously. So this time, I was provided with the melody, the top line, and to a certain extent the structure by these other fantastic artists, and then I sort of did what I wanted with them and hoped none of them sue me. Yeah.
No, I also like sort of go into it. Me personally, after hearing the single with Justine from Employed to Serve and that, and then like obviously the new single, I was like, wow, he's putting out quite a lot of like, heavy stuff like for this one.
Yeah.
So I was like, is like most of the album going to be like heavy, or are you still going to have that sort of equal split of like?
I think Popeye is definitely as heavy as this record goes. I mean, I do love heavy music. I made a decision on Devolver to try and not have any tracks with shouting on. I think a bit of shouting crept into a couple of them, but the reason because we recorded Long Gone, I had my version of it with me singing. We did that for the Devolver record, but it just didn't stick. It was too aggressive.
So like a B-side then, really?
We didn't know what we were going to do with it. It might have gone on the record initially, but we thought let's leave it off. And then a little bit later, after that had come out, they said, why don't you do a single for the spring? And I thought, well, we could put out that track, and I just got friendly with Justine and Employed to Serve, so that came together very well. So generally speaking, I tried to make Devolver a shout-free zone, and then when Long Gone came out, that was an accident that the next thing would be Popeye as well, but they're both quite aggressive. But that's not going to be a theme. I mean, as you've heard, Killer, we had on Friday, that's not got any shouting at all. It's really quite relaxed. So that's, the record is not as heavy as Long Gone or Popeye. Those are extreme moments. And Long Gone isn't on it, it's just Popeye. Long Gone's its own thing.
We were talking about earlier about just like the whole playing live and stuff. I know you've spoken a lot about, because when you did the change, like getting rid of your bass player and like just touring with the duo, I'm not going to ask you loads of questions about that, because I've seen you fucking talk about it loads.
Sure.
The record came out like 2 years, over a year ago, so it's a while ago. But like, sort of, one thing I did want to touch upon, when you like made the decision to sort of like continue doing that, because you're still doing it now.
Yes.
Do you sort of feel like you're losing anything in a sense? Because I've heard you talk about how much of a positive thing it is. Yeah. But when you're like taking little bits out of like the equation, do you see like a loss of any kind really?
If you're talking about, to losing any sounds, I mean, if you're talking physically, the difference between what I'm doing now and when I was with I had the heavy mellow band on my first record, we had 2 guitarists and a bass player and a drummer. So physically, we got 1 less guitar. Everything that Gus was playing on the bass, I'm playing on the bass at the same time as the guitar. So we're down a guitar. But I mean, in terms of how that sounds, I suppose it would be quite similar to how my old band Reuben sounded, because we had drums, bass and guitar. But then on the other side of it, I have got a bit braver with sampling, and Dan Cav, my previous drummer, used a little sample pad just to bring in little sounds every now and then, because the Devolver record was such a soundy album. It had lots of little electronic bips and boops, and we had some loops and we had some playback as well.
Was that like a struggle, like when obviously you made the record and that, then you have to think about, you know, playing it live? Was that sort of something that like was a bit like sort of stressful trying to figure out like how you?
No, it was the opposite. It's almost my favourite bit of it, because you have completely free reign when you make a record, and if you want to put a trumpet in it, and if you want to put a harp in it, you can. And then when it comes to translate it live, you've got a much smaller group of, you know, everyone does when they make their record, you know, most people have got a bit of a string part here and a piano part here, and it rarely happens. You don't bring a string quartet live with you. It's usually just guitars, drums and bass and vocals. So everyone has that task of reformatting their stuff to whatever extent into a live arena. And that's my favourite bit, actually. So going through and working out how to play the guitar and the bass at the same time. I was doing a bit of that today, actually, thinking of one of the songs on the new record and how I would do it myself. But then also, what could we pick out to play maybe the samples, and what harmony parts is the drummer going to sing. That's actually my favourite part of it. So I really enjoy it, and I quite enjoy the structure of it being two people. When we were in Reuben, in my band, there was only three of us, we quite enjoyed the challenge of making as big a sound as possible with really quite a limited, only three people. That was our favourite bit of it, and all kinds of things. John, the bass player, whatever, he had a big, thick distortion pedal that we could bring in when I wanted to play a solo. And for us, back at the time, even then, that was still the fun part of it, to work out how we could make it sound huge with the minimal people. So now I've only got two. Conversely, it's even more fun.
Yeah. So, no, but like, I guess like just the whole like sort of in general, like just like sort of technology, like music technology, you can do so much bits now. It's like maybe at some point in the future we might see you with no fucking band. You'll just be you, a guitar, maybe a fucking computer, just a laptop at the side of the stage.
Maybe. I mean, I have considered it. I mean, equally, you might see me with, you know, a 10-piece band if I decide to do a tour that needs like an entire orchestra or whatever.
That leads me to like my next sort of like question as well. Like, do you reckon like anytime soon you're going to change your lifestyle again?
Not in the foreseeable. When I came around to do this new record, I did consider it, and I thought, right, well, when I tour, what will I need? And I did consider, you know, bringing in someone on maybe keys. But the thing is, if you've got, maybe there's two songs in a set that really rely on keys, right? But you've got 15 other songs that don't have any keys at all.
Yeah.
And it's just not, doesn't make any sense to bring another player out for those two songs for
when
those
you're already doing it.
Yeah.
You know, like.
So you just have to work around it. Either don't play those particular songs or play a new arrangement of those particular songs. If I'd have made a record that was piano all the way through, I'd bring a pianist. But even then, you know, whatever's on my new record it's never going to be more than, say, a third of my set, because I've got the rest of my albums to represent. So yeah, no, I thought about it, but I couldn't justify. We just didn't need, in the overall scheme of things, an extra musician. So I think for the time being, until I come across a real challenge, like an album that's solely on crumhorn or something, it'll just be me and a drummer. Yeah, but we'll see. Whatever the future holds, who knows.
And I noticed as well, like just now you've been like you're bringing up a little bit of Reuben as well.
Yeah.
Like again, you've spoken about like that in the past as well. But like one thing, like I didn't actually like fully realise how like old that was. Hear me out, because no, because like obviously you started in like '98.
Yeah.
I was born in '98 for context.
Really.
And now, yeah, people are still like talking about it to this day.
Wow.
So it's like it's almost like, yeah, I sort of like underestimated how much of a little like legacy sort of like, you know, was left behind there.
So did I.
And also I didn't realise as well, like probably like a year or two ago, that you were like one of the first bands to sign with like Extra Mile as well.
Of course, yeah. I think we were the first, yeah.
Yeah, it was, I can't remember the other band off the top of my head.
There's an argument between me and Million Dead and Frank Turner to see who actually.
I think it was Frank Turner. I was thinking of and sort of. And you've spoken a lot about like just sort of like how like the industry sort of like works in general, how you sort of like find your place being like a solo artist and all that. So like, obviously you've done a lot of like DIY stuff as well. So what's your sort of like personal take? How reliable like is a label really? good. I know you'd be a little bit biased because you're obviously signed to Big Scary Monsters and everything.
Of course.
So like,
there's lots of different labels and they all work in different ways. Extra Mile works in a very different way to Big Scary Monsters.
You guys, I think I also read as well, like, you did have like quite a lot of label like sort of disputes with them. So it's like
back in the day,
when
we were young and when we were, let's face it, less experienced, and so were Extra Mile, because they formed their label to release our records, so we were both growing and learning together, and we both had perhaps unrealistic ideas of what the other party was supposed to do, so it did get a bit fractious.
Were you just like, you ever been in a young band, you're like, we're fucking getting signed, like, yeah, this is gonna be like amazing, like, is that the sort of like...
No, by the time we got signed, we'd had all that enthusiasm beaten out of us. It was really quite mundane. It's the same that I can't get too excited about playing Glastonbury, because it's been coming for a long time. You know, when someone first mooted it a couple of years ago, I was like,
oh my god, yeah.
And now the announcers come out, I'm like, yeah, that's old news. For me, that's old news. And it was the same with being signed. By the time it came round to it, we'd been working towards it so gradually that it wasn't really as big a deal as we'd imagined it would be when we were kids. But Extra Mile did a great job for us then, and we left to put our own label together. And then when I came back to work with them in 2013, we had a good time. And then when I thought about what I needed for Devolver for the new records, it just turned out that Big Scary Monsters were a better fit for the way I operate. For the way someone like Frank Turner operates, for instance, Extra Mile.
He's all over the place. He'd play anywhere.
Yeah, he will play anywhere. If you have got a guitar in your house, he will come and find it and he will start playing. This has happened to me on several occasions.
Yeah, about to say you've like done a few like bits of him as well before in the past.
Oh yeah, lots of time. Spend a lot of time with Frank. I haven't seen him for a long time actually. We had some chitty chats the other day. But yeah, they all work in different ways, and of course labels these days mean a different thing. They used to mean like a whole pile of money, and now they usually mean, unless you're a major, they mean like a little bit of money maybe, but they're more about getting your record out there and advice and context. They're more like a hub. The way indie labels work these days is more like a hub for all the different bits, and a lot of support, and you know, I get on really well with Big Scary Monsters, and I'm having a really good time with them.
Do you feel like if Reuben started like now, or maybe like a couple of years ago, do you reckon you still would have got like the big success, or even some of your solo stuff, if you like just started now?
Yeah.
Do you reckon you could reach like? No, I'm not saying you'll instantly play Glastonbury like within 2 years, but like, yeah, just a whole like level of success.
No, I don't think. First of all, I think if I started now, the age I am now, without having had that previous career behind me, no one would give me a second listen, which is fair enough. If I started at the age I am now, either in a band or as a solo artist, I think it would actually be a lot harder. I mean, it was hard back then in the noughties, but we still had the sort of, you know, that bit in Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, where they're jumping through the mines of Moria, and he throws the dwarf onto the staircase, and as it crumbles away, they all sort of jump up the stairs as they're crumbling away. That was like our band and the music industry. The industry was crumbling, or it was changing shape, and we were sort of running up the stairs as they were falling apart. So there was still a little bit of that infrastructure there. People still bought records. Mm-hmm. We sent a physical letter mail out with stamps on and sweets in. You know, digital, when we started, digital wasn't even a thing. So we had a few years where it was still a very physical relationship with the record buyers and the audiences, and we got a foothold which we built on, and I'm still building on. These days, I think it's a lot harder to get that foothold. You have to be very lucky because it's also ephemeral and digital. I mean, I can't really tell you what it's like. The closest I can, you know, the band I know best is Black Peaks.
Yeah.
And I was hanging around with them for a good couple of years before they had their big breakthrough. They found it very hard to get a foothold, but obviously they're amazing and
people notice,
but it took them a while, so it was a struggle for them, and I think I would struggle as well.
And like, yeah, for example, like a band like Black Peaks now, they're doing like all sorts of bits at the moment.
Yeah,
so, like,
everywhere.
Yeah, I guess it's one of them things where it's like you put the graft in, it will eventually pay off. It will just take a very long time. Like,
sometimes you find bands that just overnight, and it does happen, and they haven't put the graft in, and very few are able to sustain that. I'm not saying it's impossible, that it's never happened, but
that's the whole one hit wonder kind of like scenario. Like
perhaps, yeah. But I think if you put the graft in, you've got a good grounding, which is why I don't mind getting changed in a kitchen in the back of a pub in Liverpool, because
someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for taking the time to talk.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
We obviously, you've got quite diverse music range and everything. People watching who just happened to stumble across this video, I don't know how. We've only got like 20 subs, but what's the Jamie Lenman 5 songs Jamie Lenman Star Pack? What would you encourage people to listen to?
The Jamie Lenman Starter Pack. You'd probably have to listen to. You probably have to listen to Scare the Police out of my old band. That's probably good. That's where I started when I was a kid. And then you'd have to listen to Pretty Please and Fizzy Blood off my first solo album, which was Two Halves of Weirdness. Then I'd say listen to Helena Fast Car, which was off my last record, and then listen to Killer, which I've just brought out on Friday. That's quite a good.
Yeah, that's pretty
span there.
That's even predates your sort of.
I know.
Yeah.
So give them a go. All right.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, again, thank you for taking time to talk to
us.
You're
welcome. Thank you.
Now's your chance to put shit in the camera. Tell the people what you got coming up. Obviously, you got the album.
What got coming up? We're going to do Glastonbury. So get excited for Glastonbury. I am excited for Glastonbury, and I've got a couple of dates in Ireland next month, and then I've got my own mini festival called Lemmania, which is happening. I'm taking over complete stage at 2000 Trees in July, I think it is, for Lemmania 2, because it was done a couple of years ago and it was great. And before that, we're taking Lemmania on the road, on road to Lemmania, with some excellent bands in Glasgow and London. And then I play in Germany. There's all kinds of stuff going on, and my album's coming out on July the 5th, so check that out.
Yeah, do what he said. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to Crowd Music. Socials and shit down the bottom.